Logical operators are used to combine two or more Boolean values or expressions together. Under logical operators, we have the AND operator, we have the OR operator, and we have the NOT operator. So now let's see how it works. I'm going to be starting with the AND operator. I'm going to be combining two Boolean values. So here I have value is equal to true, then I'll provide the operator, which is AND, then true, print value. So look at how this operator works. The both operands have to be true for the expression to evaluate to true. In this case, we have through here and we have through here. And so this expression is going to evaluate to true. So let's print it out. We have true. But if any of the operand is false, then the entire expression is going to evaluate to false. For instance, I can change this to false. Because we have a false in the expression, we're going to get a false. I can also include another value. So let's say we have AND true. Then we'll run it. We'll also get false. It doesn't matter how many true you have in the expression. As long as there is a false in the expression, it is going to evaluate to false. Now let's look at the OR operator. Here we have OR operator. And I'm going to have value is equal to, so let's start with true or true. Then we'll print value. So let's run it before we explain. We have true. So what happens when you use an OR operator is that you require at least one true for the expression to evaluate to true. So if I change this to false, I'm also going to get a true. As long as there is a true in the expression, you are going to get a true. The only way the expression is going to evaluate to false is if all the operands are false. So let me change this to false and run it. This time around, you can see we have a false. But if I provide another operand here, in this case, true, it is now going to evaluate to true. And so you can see we have true. Now the next operator under the logical operators is the NOT operator. The NOT operator is used to negate a Boolean value. So let's say we have print and we have not true. Not true simply means false. And so we have false. And if I say not false means true. And so we have true. So this is about the different operators under the logical operators. We have the AND, we have the OR, and we have the NOT operator. So let's see how we can use the logical operators to combine expressions. Here I can provide a comparison operation. I can have 5 greater than 2. Then I'll provide a logical operator. Let's say AND 6 less than 10. Result is equal to 5 greater than 2. So this is an expression of its own. We'll have another expression here. What happens is that it is going to evaluate this expression, which will return true or false. And in this case, it's going to return true because 5 is greater than 2. And in the second expression, we'll have 6 less than 10, which will also evaluate to true. And we'll have the logical AND. And for this expression to evaluate true, both operands or both expressions have to evaluate true. And in this case, we have true here and we have true here. Of course, we're going to be getting a true. So let me comment out this and then run the program. And as you can see, we have true. But if I change this operator to greater than, and because of this change, this expression is going to evaluate false. This time around, we have true and false, and overall, we're going to get a false. Now, let me use an OR operator. So instead of the AND operator here, I can change this to OR. And when you use the OR operator, you require at least a true for the expression to evaluate true. And in this case, because we have true here and we'll have false here, it's going to evaluate to true. So we have true. Now let me change this back to AND. Of course, this is going to evaluate false. Now I'm going to be using the NOT operator to negate the value of this expression. So I'm going to be wrapping this inside of a parenthesis. And then I'll provide a NOT. So what happens is that this expression inside of the parenthesis evaluates false. But because we are using a NOT operator, we're going to negate the outcome of whatever this expression evaluates. And since we already have false here, the NOT is going to change it to true. This time around, we have true here and we have true here. And overall, we're going to have true. And we can even include more expressions. We can have or. We can say 0 is equal to 1, which of course is going to evaluate to false. But because we have true here, we also have another true here, and we have a false here. And we're using an OR operator. Overall, the expression is going to evaluate to true. So let's run it. And as you can see, we have true. So this is basically how we use logical operators in expressions and how we can combine expressions or Boolean values using the logical operators.